All right. Well, you guys are in for a treat tonight. I am super excited to have some incredible guests on the line with me here tonight. And as we get started, I want to share with everybody where we're at with everything. We are in our 12-week Master Unfranchise Owner Action Plan Training Series. Of course, as you guys know, this is taken off every Wednesday evening, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Tonight is week 6, and we're talking about the importance of training the GMTSS and how to move tickets, how to sell education, how to get people plugged into the system in order to grow your business faster and more efficiently than you could have ever imagined. And the global meeting training seminar system. My name is Cullen Haskins, and I am the director of the GMTSS. And this is a proven system. The key words there are proven system of meetings and training, seminars and events that provide new and established unfranchised owners with individual learning opportunities that contribute to standardizing and effective training. Okay. Now, before I get into the three-legged stool, I'm going to stop my share just for a second. I have 2 incredible individuals that are joining me on the line here tonight. The first person I would like to introduce is a national supervising coordinator, and she is someone who is absolutely exploding her business over the past 2 years, absolutely on fire, and her name is Emily Pinito. Emily, thank you for joining me on the line here tonight.
So honored. Definitely excited. Thank you.
Yeah. And couldn't think of a better person to be joining us on the line, because when we talk about hitting master unfranchise owner and hitting that challenge every single quarter, you've hit it the last year without missing a beat, right?
Yes, definitely.
On fire, making it happen. I absolutely love it. And the second person that we have joining us on the line is a supervising coordinator. This person is supervising coordinator, and the same thing. This individual's hit master unfranchise owner the last 4 quarters, like clockwork, rocking and rolling, growing her business, making it happen. And that's Aleksandra Cummings.
Good evening, and thank you so much for having me.
So excited to have you guys on the line with us to be able to help contribute tonight as we bring a power-packed, action-packed next 40 minutes or so to everybody who's on the line with us here tonight. And, you know, the first thing I was talking about here, moving into the three-legged stool here, is in business, and especially with our business, we like to talk about a three-legged stool, because if you're missing one of these legs, what's going to happen? The stool and the person sitting on the stool is going to fall over. And of course, none of us want to fall over. That would not be exciting. That's not very sturdy. So if this is you, each and every one of us who are sitting on the stool, what's important about the unfranchised system? It is our products. Our products are second to none, absolutely incredible. As a product brokerage company, we have the plan. We have the most incredible business system ever created on planet Earth, as far as compensation, built-in compensations and retail profits, which is amazing. And then we also, of course, have the education. Knowledge is power when it's applied. And of course, our educational system all revolves around our global meeting, training, seminar system. So why is education in the GMTSS so important? And it's all about repetition, but it's also about learning new skills that challenge us to become better than we already are when we started our unfranchise. So I would love, Emily, if you would go first and just share with everybody how and when, and just a quick, story on how you got started with the unfranchised, what your background is and so forth. That would be awesome.
So my background is an engineer. I worked for a utility company for 26 years. And the education part, there's a system in place that you could follow. And as an engineer, I had procedures to follow. And when I stepped into this, it was exciting because there's a system and it's proven. And all you have to do is repeat the system over and over. And that's how I had my success with this company. So it's really exciting. And following the GMTSS, the proven, doing the challenges, doing the master UFO, every single step, result producing activities.
Absolutely. That's where it's at. And then how about you, Aleksandra?
How about me? Oh my goodness. I remember when Bonnie walked into my salon. So as you know, I'm a former nail salon owner. And just before, my first profession was hotel management. So I remember even starting my, beauty industry. That was really tough because of the language and stuff. So I remember, when Bonnie even approached me to the business, I didn't have a marketing background. I didn't know, what she's talking about. And by the way, in the beginning, I didn't even understand what she was talking about. And what I did, I kind of did a network. So I give Bonnie my husband's business card because he's an accountant. So I was thinking, you know what, maybe my husband can have a new client. So that was, so I was smart. I give Bonnie business card to my husband, but I didn't expect that Bonnie, she's gonna send him too fast this information. So when I get home, my husband just announced me, guess what? I sent email to Bonnie that you're not interested. So quick story, how I started, but I can tell you everything, whatever I learn through marketing background, and selling and stuff, everything is through GMTSS, all the trainings. I never miss even convention.
This Beautiful. Is so I love it. And, that's what it's all about. I remember when Trinity and I got introduced, we were in our mid 20s, around 24 years old. I was working for a pharmaceutical company. I was a maintenance guy, enjoyed what I did for a living, but recognized that this was not going to give me the time flexibility that I was looking for to just spend more time. Trinity and I have 5 incredible children, and we just want to spend more time with the children than we were spending time maybe doing things on our calendar that weren't as much of a priority than the children. And of course, the Unfranchise gave us that opportunity to do it. And the education was second to none. I mean, I can remember sitting in some of my trainings when I was brand new and thinking to myself, my gosh, how come they don't teach this class in school? I don't remember this class at my school, at least in, elementary, junior high, high school, even some college classes I was taking. I said, I don't remember any of this stuff. And of course, this is what the GMTSS and education is so important. And it's also incredibly important to continuing education, just like other people in different professions. We hear things 7 times, of course, 7 different ways from 7 different people. And of course, as you're growing a business, you might hear it, 100 times, 100 different ways from 100 different people. And that's really the secret to success, is hearing information from different individuals who are actually doing the work and making things happen. And that's exactly what we're doing with the Unfranchised system. So what do? We all start with a possibility list. We're identifying people that we want to approach with the Unfranchise. And then as we approach them, we're either meeting with them in a setting where it's just us with them, or it's in a 2-on-1, maybe it's a home event, it's an online event. I know both of you ladies have done amazing with doing online events. And so let me ask you guys, in the beginning, when we're meeting with people and you're meeting with them, how are you having success, or what's been the most successful route for you over the last year or so? Has it been the online events and meeting with people? And is it better meeting with them where you just meet with them and build that relationship first? Or do you like it better when there's a few people on the line all at once? We'll go, Aleksandra, you go first on this one.
I was waiting. But you see, because I'm building and I'm expanding business international, like in the UK, I started this even a couple of years before. So it was a different program than Zoom. So I believe, the contacts, what I have, I'm not attacking people with the business, but I always said, you know what, Cullen, how about if we grab a cup of coffee? Let's talk. Let's see where it's gonna take us, this conversation. So I'll be happy even to share, what I have and what you have, because I would love to know. So first, building the relationship. And this is what I do. And if I see, because I really, after all these years, I learn how to not waste my time. So I learn even how to have fun, 15, 20 minutes on Zoom. And because, I like when I see someone, because, the energy, if you're gonna click with someone. And I want to know about you. What do you do? So this is what it's my thing. Sometimes I say, let's have a Prosecco, let's have a coffee. But let's find out if this is for you or not. And if yes, then I have another meeting. And I might have collabs sometimes, my girls, with people who I'm working with, because I can match profession. So if I know, that Emily, she's an engineer, I might have someone who's engineer as well. So from their background. So I love Zooms, honestly. And I just like, it's kind of like being face-to-face.
There you go.
So love it.
Perfect. Okay, Emily, how about you?
All right. So for me, I just want to share a little bit of how I started, because what was important, I moved into a new neighborhood and I met this beautiful lady, had a beautiful home, and she was trying to share with me about a business opportunity. At that time, I was working 60, 70 hours. My life was just not in a position. I couldn't hear her. But one of the things is I was interested in what she was telling me. And so when I did get started, one of the things that she did is said that you need to create your top 10 list. So I created my top 10 list and bio sheets on them, identifying who they are, and then strategizing on approaches. I love 2-on-1s, or I love also, like Alex mentioned, if I like to match people to what people do very much.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I love the online presence. I brought in a naturopathic doctor that actually was doing trichology, and she was teaching all over the United States. And what happened with that is she loved the products, because that's the first thing I did, was start her on products. And as she was teaching, she referred me. So I loved when we got Zoom. I used to use free conference call. We never saw anybody. But when the Zooms came and working with the Zooms, it's extremely very powerful. But I'm glad if we could get back to normal too.
Yeah, it's exciting to be able to get back face to face and get somebody a cup of coffee, right?
Yes.
100%. So what happens, folks, is we're building into whether we're one-on-ones, 2-on-1, home events, online events, all that builds into what we call an unfranchised business presentation. And that's just a more professional presentation done by experienced individuals that are going to share more details of what the business looks like. But most importantly, they're going to be able to share their story and how they got started and what worked for them. And then ultimately, we're moving into what's called the meeting after the meeting. Now, all of that flows into building into what we call local seminars, a district conference, which happens once a year, regional conventions, which happen once a year. And then we have international convention, usually in August every year. And then we have World Conference, which of course we have coming up here in February, 24th through the 26th. All of this facilitates education and helping us grow our business. In between all of this, we're building in a lot of our certified training. So we have new Unfranchise owner training. That's what NUWAT stands for over here, by the way. We have the basic 5, the 5 fundamentals that it takes to build any kind of successful business. We have an executive coordinator training. We put people through a process. It's not an event of like, oh, I got into business and now I'm just waiting for a bag of money to fall out of the sky and hit me in the head. And there's not coaching. We have an incredible coaching system to walk every single unfranchise owner through a process in order to become successful. And then, of course, we have university specialties. We have general product trainings. We have the transitions lifestyle system with TLS. We have motives. Internet sales and marketing, web centers, which is working with selling websites to small to medium-sized business owners. We have Nutrimetrics. We're working with licensed healthcare professionals, you name it. And we have the system to have everybody's back in order to grow a successful business. So what are the non-negotiable days? What is non-negotiable means if you're gonna start up a business and it's required to put in 8 to 15 hours a week, and retraining is required, but not only required by us to learn to get better, but now we're bringing people with us in order to learn, in order to grow faster than we could ever do by ourselves. I can tell you this. One of the number one reasons why Trinity and I in our mid-20s could become successful with this was because we just plugged people into this training system, people way smarter than us. And many of them are still way smarter than us, which is awesome. We're a team. But there's non-negotiable days, folks, that have to happen. So what we're looking at is every single month, we're looking to attend 2 unfranchised business presentations. These are usually done at night, usually an hour, hour and a half, start to finish. And then you have a meeting after the meeting where you're going to hang out and talk to people, answer some questions, introduce those people to other individuals who are at those training meetings on franchise business presentations. And then that flows into usually areas will have between 4 and 5. So we went on the high end, which is 5 local seminars. A district conference is a 1-day event. Regionals are usually a 2-day event that happen once a year. We have World Conference coming up, like I just mentioned, in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It's a 3-day event. And we have International Convention, which is usually a 4-day event in North Carolina, where the company was founded and started. So you have 15 days where it's like, I'm 100% committed. I'm attending that no matter what. And then we have 24 nights throughout the year, 2 nights every single month. And then you fill in gaps outside of that to come up with your 8 to 15 hours a week with the team in order to make that happen. So ladies, and let's start with Emily on this one. Emily, so how did you feel about the non-negotiable days as you got started? And then where are you today with that? How does all that look for you? Non-negotiable days.
Okay. So when I got started, I was working 60, 70 hours, like I mentioned, and it was really difficult for me because I was raising 2 kids, but I tried my best. But one of the things is there's a system in place that I had to follow, and it was really hard. So it was what of the beautiful thing is, as a team, we work as a team. Barbara would help me out into the events that I couldn't go to. That was really powerful. That created belief in me and that part of it. So after seeing what it was and understanding more, I did my best. But what happens with me now, it's now. I go to every single event. There's not one thing she did when she did sell me that ticket during my registration. What she did for me is she showed me the stepways of what you need to do. She said, you will never understand, Emily, if you do not go. So when I did go and I understood how powerful and what it changed for me, because when we're so busy in our lives, we have nothing to think about and to add something into this. But when you saw that there was teamwork, so now this is what I preach, I teach, and the powerful thing is the duplication part of it. And it made a huge difference in my life, and it's changed my life, as you guys will hear even more.
Beautiful. I agree. So
No.
Aleksandra, how about you? Non-negotiable days.
So I'm going to tell you from the beginning, when I opened my salon, my English wasn't good enough. Like right now, I was, if someone said too fast, I was like, what did you say? What did you say? And I remember when I started, I didn't honestly understand the business plan. And my husband was driving with me because we didn't have this point Zooms. So because I was living in New Hampshire, driving to Massachusetts to see UBP, sometimes like an hour. And imagine I'm working, in my salon, and then you have to close your salon, drive over there, then back home, 11 o'clock. And after the 8 times, I said to my husband, oh my gosh, I saw this already. Why do I have to go again? But it wasn't the point. Now I understand, but I learned the business plan. I learned the verbiages. I remember after 3 months that I'm sitting on this chair, and finally I said, oh, I got it. Someone on the left, someone on the right. So I got the business plan after 3 months. But the point is, even right now, I remember even NUOT, right? For the new distributor, I was sitting in the first row and I didn't understand all these verbiages. I didn't understand. I couldn't find this in dictionary and stuff. I remember my first convention, even 5% I got it. Honestly, right now, I never missed anything. And the biggest benefit as well, when I used to own my salon, I learned how to grow even my salon. I have a field trip from the school to my salon, and everyone was asking, how did you do this? Like, you always busy. And I said, because I was ahead of everyone else. Why? Everything I learned, it was here through our company. So it changed completely my life. Like 7 years ago, I closed my salon, we moved here. So is it working? Yes, but everything it's here. So I will never miss convention.
Absolutely. 100%. It's kind of like, you got to relate it to going to college or some kind of continuing education. Nobody's going to let somebody operate on their brain if they haven't taken the classes and been to enough schools and practice. And that takes a long time for somebody to get to even that place, between 4 to 8 years to become really great at something, say 10,000 hours to become a master at something. And we look at that in relation to building an unfranchise, and there's definitely non-negotiable days, But this is not, I have people ask me, is it full time? Like, do I have to put in 40 hours a week in the beginning? And how do I find the time? And I'm like, well, with 5 kids, Trinity and I, we're busy. But it was all about our priorities. And what did we really want more of in our life? And what did we want less of if we had to, sacrifice some things or make some changes? But we had to prioritize our time. And then we move into the meeting after the meeting. And this is where we work with our teammates, folks. It is super important. And many of us, this is a challenging area mentally, because we're so used to working a job where it's all on us. Everything, if you say, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. Well, that's most people's life. Is nobody's going to show up to our job to work a day at our job. Nobody's showing up, to pay our bills on Friday if they're due on Friday. But us is all on us. So then all of a sudden we had this team, incredible team, that's saying, let me help you. And for some people, they trust very quickly and say, I trust the team, let's go. And you know what? Those people go really fast. And the people who trust slower, we still love you. However, it goes slower because you're just not as trusting in the team to know that we all have a vested interest in having you create more success in your life and, of course, with your unfranchised business. So the next topic I want to talk about is selling education, moving tickets. How do we get people to attend our meetings and trainings and our seminars and our events? And so for me, folks, it's the same thing we've already been talking about, which is the value of the education. It's all relative. Somebody would say, for me to go to the community college and for me to invest, let's say $40,000 over a 2-year period, is it worth it? Well, for me, it's always about, what is it about? I'm going to write it on the screen. It's ROI. What's going to be my return on investment? Because this is an investment into us from an education standpoint. So it's all relative. Somebody's going to invest $200,000, $400,000, MBA, or become a physician. Say, okay, fantastic. If you're all in on that, that's going to be a great return on your investment. Well, what is it with the unfranchised, and why would people want to invest and attend? So like we all know, World Conference is coming up. So a World Conference ticket for each one of us is a $200 investment. Well, it's all relative. Where else are we going to invest $200 that will position us to have all the incredible training and learning around the multiple divisions of the company, to be trained by the most brilliant minds when it comes to business, like, JR and Lauren Reidinger, the founders of marketamericashop.com. You got the incredible Mark Ashley, the COO of the company. You got so many incredible leaders that have decades of experience that are teaching you step by step how to become successful, not only mentally inside our brain, but then how do we now go do the work and turn that into major success stories? So I would love to hear from you guys. Aleksandra, you go first. When is the best time that you found where you like to move a ticket to like World Conference that's coming up? And how do you do it? Tell them how you do it too. Give us an example.
So I'm going to give you example because I just did it recently. Plus, you see, this is education. This is how I learn. And I know when Bonnie even have to push me because I couldn't afford it. My first convention, I couldn't afford it. Just came back from Poland, spent a lot of money living in New Hampshire, hotels and stuff, fly. And that was tough, really tough. And my husband said, all right, I'll go. And this is what it changed my life. So I know what it doesn't mean. And sometimes when you're talking to someone, some people say, oh, it's just a conference. I'm like, no, it's not. Trust me, you haven't seen this. I remember my first tears. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, it's the belief. And 2 years ago, I'm going to talk about Veronica. So I found her on social media. There was exactly the same time. And there was like a 2.5 weeks. I'm talking to her. She wasn't even in the business. And I said, listen, I'm just going to ask you. I know you could say no, but I have nothing to lose. In 2.5 weeks, we're going to have the biggest conference in Miami. It can change your life. Guess what? She didn't know me. She trusted me. She booked her flight. She came. And guess what's happening? Now she was 24 years old. Now she's 26. She is executive coordinator. She's one of the fastest growing UFO in UK. She led. And by the way, after, you know what was happening? The biggest, there was when the conference finished, March, of course, we hear it, she did it business online. Couple days ago, Kira, she registered her business. And I said, Kira, if you want to grow your business, if you want to learn like I did, because this is what it changed my life, you need to get this ticket, because there is nothing, I cannot spend with you so many hours because you're not going to be listening me. You have to see this. So for me, the tickets, it's the must have. Like if you don't go, you don't grow. And honestly, look, the tickets cost $200. There is 15 days left. If you divide this, it's only $14 per day. Why don't you skip Starbucks? Why don't you skip, I don't know, find some coupons online and go, because this is education. This is crazy for only $200. Like it's crazy.
Unbelievable. I agree. All right, Emily, how about you?
The ticket is everything to me, because I do have to share with you what that ticket did for me. And I'll give you examples. At the time in my life, I was in a struggling marriage, working so many hours. The thing is, if I never bought that ticket and never went to my own first convention with that ticket, I would have never heard JR speak. And one of the things, I had to drive myself because Barbara, at the last minute, like I mentioned, canceled. The first hour, I thought, like, what am I doing here? He doesn't know what he's talking about. And who is he? And I was upset that I even did this. The lady near me said, just listen. The second hour, he talked about the vision of this company, extremely, very powerful. Belief was created in me. The third hour, he talked about dreams and goals, the things that I think about that I can't possibly have in that job that I'm with. Mm-hmm. And in the fourth hour, I didn't know how I was, but I knew I was home. And if you looked at me back then in the struggling marriage and no way out, what that ticket did for me, when I talk about the ticket and I talk about what it has done to my life, and when I'm talking to my partners about that, I don't get paid for that ticket. I mentioned that. And I hit on their whys, because once you get to know them, they're complaining about this. They want that. And like Alex said, $200 investment, I even say, if you get nothing out of it, I'll pay you the money. I'll give you the money back. So for me, what if I didn't buy the ticket? I would never be here. I would not be free.
That's it. 100%. And that's really what this slide's all about. One ticket can change everything for a single person. And that's the way we look at it, is that where else are people going to go to be able to get the belief in themselves and also a business system that can produce a supplemental income if you follow the system, of course. Where else are people going to go? And, here we are over 29 years, coming up on our 30th year in business, and we've done over 10 billion in accumulated sales. It's like, are the products any good? Is the company any good? It's like, yeah, 10 billion, pretty solid upward trend that we got rocking with the company, which is absolutely unbelievable. But I do want to take a minute, because all of us, and we had a long conversation, the three of us around this, everybody has some obstacles that they're going to have to overcome, in order to make this happen. And I know for Trinity and I, one of our biggest obstacles was, of course, I'm working full time. I'm 7 a.m. till 7 p.m. And then, of course, we have 5 beautiful children who are at home that, of course, we have to figure out, how do we get sitters? How do we make this happen? Our daughter's birthday, one of the daughters, her birthday's every year, August 4th. That's usually when convention is, right around that same time. But we never missed a convention because our daughter always knew that we have a big celebration the week before, week after. It don't matter. Like, it's all great, but there were non-negotiable days. But these were some obstacles. These were challenges that Trinity and I had to overcome. And we just learned a long time ago, says, listen, the most successful entrepreneurs eat challenges or obstacles for breakfast. This doesn't make it happen. It's not no big thing. But how do you guys feel about some of these obstacles or challenges? Aleksandra, let's start with you on this.
I went through everything. I remember when I started, and I told you in the beginning, with the language barrier, that was horrible. I didn't even have a Polish friends. I just have to ask always, Bill, what did they say? What did they say? What does it mean? Okay, that was like, it was horrible. And when I was going for the training, my friends, they were going for a drink. And there was again, I'm like, yep, again. So didn't know, by the way, when I came here, I didn't know people. Even when I was opening my salon, because from hotel management, after the salon, I have to grow even 2 businesses, you know what I mean? Nail salon plus this business, then longer hours at work. I was exhausted, running my salon. I was an employee. I have to even find, clients, and then have to go, for the seminar. Imagine Saturday, there's the busy day at work. And now I'm like, I blog. You see, I always said it's a time management. It's kind of like doctor meeting when the doctor say to you, Emily, Saturday, this and this day, this is the only time. Guess what you're doing? You're blocking your schedule and there is nothing what you're going to do, right? The same thing was here. If I knew when is the training, I block my schedule. And then I was working longer hours just before, just to make up. Guess what? We are in the US. You're not getting pay. That's why I knew it, that I have to learn to apply. I was scared. Of course I was scared. I didn't understand a lot of things. I couldn't show business plan. Guess what I was doing? If I didn't know how to show the business plan because my English was bad, I was using Bonnie and Bill. And then when Bill didn't have time, and I remember my Utopia our Utopia, when I went for the seminar, I remember Jim Winkler showing the business plan. Came back, I'm like, now I don't need you. I know how to show the business plan. You know what I mean? But I went through the whole thing. But guess what? It builds you stronger. Now,
that's right.
Guess what?
There you go. I love it. How about you, Emily? What were your biggest obstacles you had to overcome?
Well, a lot of it. But first of all, when I first started, I was that negative person myself because that's where I lived. I worked 60, 70 hours, very exhausted and very tired. I actually said to Barbara, I don't know anybody. I don't like to talk. I'm not comfortable. Mm-hmm. She said, find people who do. So that resonated with me. And through the process of working the long hours, being exhausted and tired, but it is the belief that is built from the education that we get here through our GMTSS. I literally would pass out if somebody would call my name. That's how bad it was. Now you can't stop me from talking. But it was all of these things, the obstacles that you have in your mind that you're thinking about, it's just your obstacles. So the whole thing is we have support. When I wasn't comfortable, somebody was helping me out. And those are the biggest thing. The obstacles, what they do here for you, your belief grows in here. As it grows, these obstacles don't matter. And that's what you're going to be challenged with. People saying the same thing that you're going through, that you went through, that you suffered. And all you're doing is showing and educating. That's why the GMTSS, the system is so critically important. And educating people and being there for them, meeting them where they're at. That is huge. When you meet them where they're at, there's a lot I could say, but those are the points that I want to make.
Perfect. Anybody on the line with us, throw it in the chat. What was your biggest obstacle that you had to overcome if you are an unfranchised owner? I know we have some guests that are on the line with us here as well. But the reality is we're going to have obstacles. We're going to have challenges, whether we decide to become an entrepreneur and grow a traditional business or we grow an unfranchised business. Either way, there's going to be this list of challenges and obstacles that we are going to either choose to overcome or choose to let them hold us back. And it's all a decision. And we have to recognize that if we don't have tickets, so no tickets, no money, right? We know this, and this is the culture of building a successful unfranchise. Nobody's going to buy a franchise and say, I'm not going to show up to the, franchise training. Well, no, of course you're going to show up to the training. This is where you're going to make it happen. But the person with the most people creates the most working hours through getting them plugged into the training system. When you think of plugging somebody into a one-day Saturday training, it's an 8-hour training. So if it's you and you're getting trained, you have 8 hours of working hours going towards your working knowledge. And now you can go out and do what we call result producing activities in order to grow a business. And then if we have 10 people at the exact same training next month, now we have 80 hours of production going into our business. But what if we had 100 times the 8 hours. Now we have 800 hours of production going in. Well, let's look at this on a bigger scale. All of a sudden, we go to a few local events, but we move into World Conference, which of course is our next major training. Well, our goal is at some point, as you're growing your business, and I remember when Trinity and I were ramping up, and our first conference, I think it was like 6 people at the event, and that a World Conference just like this. And so then you go from 6 people of 30 hours of training, right? Same equation, but then 6 turns into 33, then turns into over 100. By the time you ramp it up, okay, now your goal is like, how can I have 100 people at the World Conference? And in 30 hours of training, 3 days, approximately 10 hours training. We have breakout trainings at night. Nobody's ever come to one of our conferences. Well, there wasn't enough training in order to make sure I'm ready to make things happen, because our company definitely over delivers from that perspective. But you got 3,000 hours going into your business, and the average person works 2,000 hours over a year and a half. When we look at that, year and a half. So you say this is a year and a half worth of production going into your business in one weekend worth of training, to have the team, everybody working together, everybody building together in order to make that happen. But it has to become a culture. Ultimately, everybody in the world is a fork in the road, and you have the successful person and you have the unsuccessful person. And success is a broad term. Everybody has different levels of what their interpretation of success is. Some people are like, man, I'm successful if I'm making an extra 300 a month, just retail profit. I'm successful. We say, fantastic, high five, that's awesome. Some people want to obviously make more supplemental income than that. A lot of people love helping people just with the products. And they're like, man, I don't care if I make any money. I just have so many customers that reorder from me on a monthly basis. And that's amazing. And for them, that's success. But you have to look at this fork in the road and say, which way am I going to go mentally first? And then the physical will follow. And so mentally, I want a higher level of success. I know I want more success in my life. I have to go the road of the people that have had that, a lot of success in their life. If I keep hanging out with the people that haven't had high levels of success, well, then I'm probably going to stay where I'm at. As you said, the average income of people is the 5 people they hang out with the most. Well, that's why I was like, Trinidadians hang out with people way more successful than us, right? What do you guys have to say about this slide? The fork in the road. This is really what it's all about in the conclusion.
I will say this, you have 2 choices, right? And I choose to hang out with positive people, successful people, because if not, right now, you know how it's comfortable, Cullen, when like before, I used to be like, wow, Saturday, I cannot go. No, I need to come back on Sunday. I can miss my clients, right? Now, if I go on Tuesday, Wednesday, if I go for 5 weeks or 6 weeks, if I want to go to UK, there is a business over there, and then 2 birds in 1 stone. So it's nice. But you know what is the biggest? Trainings, success, anything you want, it's just here we have. So you have to choose, where do you want to be? I know my goals. It's kind of like GPS, in your car. I know no one can stop me because I already know where I want to be, what I want, where I want to be with my husband. The same thing like 11 years ago. My goals right now, they're different because guess what? I choose and I didn't listen to negative people.
Love it. How about you, Emily?
So that fork on the road means 2 things. For me, it was because of where I was in life when I started, my first dream board was positive words. Through those positive words, I developed and I was able to succeed, but I failed and I started up again. So I learned instead of doing the same thing over and over, I would fail. I would do it again. So one of the things is I would volunteer. What was really critical when my team started growing, that's when our UBP closed down. Our UBP closes down. I volunteered to be the UBP coordinator. Shy Miss Emily is volunteering, stepping out of her comfort zone for the team to believe in me. Okay. So creating that, but, and then through that process is like, we have the most best, caring, wonderful trainers in this world. Mm-hmm. And I took nuggets from every single one of them. So for me, that fork on the road went from bumps and bumps to a smooth sailing to, and because of that, I could say a lot, but one of the things that I want you guys to remember, no matter where you are at, no matter how you're feeling, no matter how not confident you're not, this system is in place to even build in yourself. The most important thing, when you believe, people believe in you. And that's what's important. That's what makes me strong in that part of it, because of all this company, the system, everything.
I love it. I love it. Well, fantastic. Well, one of the things I wanted to point out to everybody is that as you make this happen, there is always going to be light at the end of the rainbow, meaning that you have to link arms with people that want to see you succeed and are going to cheer you on in the direction that you want to go. So as you guys all know, every single week we have a homework assignment. Oh, by the way, I got a couple shout outs. I forgot to mention a couple shout outs when we got this thing started. So I got 2 shout outs I want to throw out tonight. So we got Martin and Wendy Boone. Congratulations to you guys. 2 team corings in the past week. In order to get your team on track and making sure that they're all growing and making it happen. And of course, you guys added 14 new names to your names list, which is amazing. So great job, Martin and Wendy. High five on that one. And then Angela Adams completed her vision board. And that's what made me think of it, you guys, was your whole vision. You talk about the dream board and putting the, Emily was talking about, I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to throw that out there. So Angela, high five to you. Way to go. Way to make it happen. And so as you guys can see, email the below items to masterufo@marketamerica.com. But here's the challenge for this week. If you are an unfranchise owner and you're somebody who's committed to making things happen, first assignment, reach out to your GMTSS leadership area. And if you're not sure who that is, get with your team and say, who is this? What's Cullen talking about? Reach out to him and say, how can I help support the system? The system isn't great because of any one person in the system. It's about all of us linking arms together to make our global meeting and training seminar system awesome together. And then I'm going to challenge you. For some of you, this might seem like a big challenge, but look, talking with Emily and Aleksandra, by the way, these ladies, not only have they hit Master UFO the last 4 quarters, but I'm going to brag on them a little bit. So Aleksandra has brought on 15 personal partners in the past year. So a round of applause for Aleksandra, because she's walking the walk. So everything she's talking on here, you guys, is she's living it. She's making it happen. And Emily Pinito has brought on 29 personal partners. Now, let me just say this. These numbers are amazing. Okay. That's not what the average person's probably going to do. As a matter of fact, I don't know how many years I did that, but Trin and I were just consistently consistent. But these ladies have learned how to leverage this internet thing, leverage the Zoom thing. But here's the last point I want to make on this is that even in the past week, how many tickets, ladies, I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this, but in the last week or two, how many extra tickets have you moved into World Conference, which is coming up here, at the end of February? I know Trinity and I moved an extra 3 tickets in the past week to this, to brand new people that are just evaluating the business. They're not on franchise owners yet. There's invest $200, then investing, a whole bunch more to find out whether the business is right for you or not. And of course, they're like, that's a win. I want to go to the training, right? So Emily, really quick, how many have you moved in the past 2 weeks?
In the past 2 weeks or the week? You said in the past 2 weeks. So in the past,
we'll
say 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay. So in the past 2 weeks, I've moved 12 tickets. Because
12 more tickets.
12 more tickets because of this week, 6 tickets, including today. But one of the things that I want to say is, and I lost my thought of mine, but the 12, what I'm doing now, I am selling the ticket. I do part 1s, part 2s, I do evaluations, I do trial runs, I do all of that. But for me, it is for them to see the bigger picture. The ticket is more important than for me to have a registration. Okay. Because the vision, because I tell them I bought a ticket to see what it was. So that was powerful for me. 100%. And that's why it's powerful for them. And it's working when you relate that there's no pressure.
That's right. That's right. Okay. Alex, how about you? Last 2 weeks, how many tickets?
The last 2 weeks, 6 tickets. And
6 tickets.
6 tickets, yes. But I can tell you something, how this is critical, because that's why I'm going to be like, highly recommend to everyone to go if you didn't even buy tickets. How changed this life to one of my girl from New York, Agnes, by the way, hello, Agnes. She's a makeup artist. And when she started this business a couple of years ago, she was only about makeup, only about this. And when she came to the conference, guess what's happening? She does right now nutrition, selling collagen, and she shop even online like she never did this before. This is what is happening because she saw the belief what we have. So that's why I always gonna tell you need to go for the conference.
There you go. Beautiful. Perfect. So the challenge is 3 for you, 3. And if you're not sure how you're going to do it, you get with your team and you say, I'm going to hit this challenge. Cullen challenged me. I got 3. We're going to make it happen, and watch how everything else falls right into place. So make sure you're getting your accountability sheet into your team captain every week by Saturday, making that happen. Next week is week 7. And week 7 is all about following up and closing, and how do we move people forward? Because the fortune is in the follow-up. I've seen some of you guys in the chat say that that is one of your obstacles, is the follow-up. You're not going to want to miss. Next week, we have the incredible Melanie Nelson and Lee Rader, who are going to be leading it next week. It's going to be a power-packed action master UFO action plan series, guys. So make sure you guys are on next week to learn on week 7. It's going to be amazing. And that's what we have for you here tonight. So those of you that are red hot and rolling and you're going to be at World Conference, all 3 of us can't wait to see you guys. Come find us, give us a hug. We'd love to give you a hug, and everybody have a blessed evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
This was awesome.